listening to the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast, where we do fast, fun, free daily deep dives into books of the Bible. And right now, we're going through Esther.
Did I ever tell you guys that I was 4% African American for 5 years? This is a crazy thing, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it even now, emotionally. But that happened. I sent away for one of these tubes from the internet. They mailed it to me, and then I took the lid off. I filled it with drool. I put the lid back on it. I wiped off the outside. I sent it back to the internet, and the scientists there, they put it in some kind of scanner, and then it kicks out an email, and it tells me what I'm made of. It tells me where I'm from. It was super interesting, and all the results were what I would expect, given the story that I know about where my family came from and everything. A bunch of Viking and Scottish and Irish and English in there. But then I keep looking at it, and there it is, 4% African American. Like, well, how about that? And so it's kind of fun. Started digging deeper into family history and learning more. Then every now and then I get an email from the company and say something to the effect of, oh, your profile has been updated. Go log in and check it out. And I think, well, that's kind of weird. It seems like what I'm made of genetically, ethnically would be kind of set in stone. But all right, I'll bite. I'll give you the click. So I go over and look, and the percentage points would bump around a little bit here. They're no big deal. Well, after roughly 5 years from when I initially took the test, I get another one of these emails. I'm like, sure, let's go look. And I jump in there, and I notice that I am now 0% African American. It just went away. They changed their mind on that. And I believed them because it had the initial report had tons of science words on it, and there were charts with different colors, and then there were percentages of accuracy and just mountains of fine print. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that says immutable, irrefutable, absolute truth. But I guess in this case, it was the kind of truth that can change. And I remember looking at the screen and being like, I definitely don't know what to do with that emotionally, but okay, there that is. And the other day I got another one of these emails, right? And so I log in, and there was nothing observable that had changed. But I kind of scrolled way down to see all of the things that I'm not ethnically, genetically. And I noticed that I'm 0% Jewish. Now, of course, I'm 0% Jewish. I am not aware of any Jewish Israeli ancestry in my family. But I stopped on that when I was thinking about it. I was like, that's kind of wild, though, that I'm 0% Jewish, but I'm so dang interested in and immersed in Jewish stuff from being around the Old Testament and the New Testament, and because I know a bunch of Jewish people and their lives are interesting. And I thought, I've never done one of these festivals that come up throughout the Bible. And for that matter, here you and I are talking about the book of Esther, and I got to thinking, I've never been a part of Purim. I mean, I've known what it is since probably 7th grade. I think 7th grade was the first time I read the book of Esther. And, you figure out the first time you read it, this is a book that in part is explaining the origins of a festival, a holiday that still persists to this day. And I remember hearing somewhere along the way that part of that celebration involved the public reading of the book of Esther. And I even remember when I first learned about the Dead Sea Scrolls, maybe in college, I remember hearing that the one book of the Bible that there was no shred of, and I think there's a couple more that there's no shred of as well, but that one of the books there's no portion of was Esther. And I thought, well, that could make sense because maybe they needed to keep that scroll separate in case they needed to read it for Purim. But that's really all I ever knew about it at all. And now here we are at this point in the book of Esther. Probably most of you, like me, are 0% ethnically Jewish. But if you're listening to this podcast, you're very interested in how all of this came together, and probably as curious as I am as to what actually goes on when people celebrate Purim. I mean, the first account here in Esther 9 starting in verse 17, makes it sound like it's what you'd expect from a holiday. There's a lot of food and happiness and giving of gifts. This is what it reads. It says, this happened on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th day they rested and made it a day of feasting and joy. Sounds delightful. I would love to sit in on something like that. And then it goes on in verse 18, the Jews in Susa, however, had assembled on the 13th and 14th, and then on the 15th they rested and made it a day of feasting and joy. So that's more feasting and more joy. Sounds great. That is why rural Jews, those living in villages, observe the 14th of the month of Adar as a day of joy and feasting. So that's a third repetition of that. The author of Esther seems to really like doing that triplicate thing, saying 3 straight words that mean more or less the same thing: kill, annihilate, destroy, or just repeat 3 things they really want to emphasize in 3 different places in fairly rapid succession, like the way they just emphasized that the Jews did not lay their hands on the plunder when all of this stuff went down. The author says that 3 times. So feasting and joy, feasting and joy, feasting and joy. So the rural Jews, as a day of feasting and joy, and a day for giving presents to each other. All right, so feasting, joy, and presents. Well, that sounds magnificent, but I'm guessing they don't do the same stuff that we do on Christmas. So I thought it'd be kind of fun if we just went over here to the Wikipedia article on Purim, and we're going to learn together right now in real time. Okay, Purim is a Jewish holiday which commemorates the saving of the Jewish people from annihilation at the hands of an official of the Achaemenid Empire named Haman, as it is recounted in the book of Esther, usually dated to the 5th century BCE. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, I didn't really learn anything there. I feel like you and I had that one pretty much nailed down. I'm looking over here on the right side. When does it happen? Oh, it's not the same every year. It's not perfectly a match with the Western calendar. So the 2022 date is sunset the night of March 16th to nightfall the night of March 17th. And then in 2023, it's sunset the 6th of March to nightfall the 7th. In 2024, sunset the 23rd of March to nightfall the 24th. 2025, the 13th to the 14th. Okay, so it moves around a little bit. The official date is the 14th day of Adar. This is interesting. In Jerusalem and all ancient walled cities, it was celebrated on the 15th of Adar. Fascinating. Now, that's not in Esther. It doesn't say in all walled cities. It just indicates that it was in Susa, but maybe the idea is they're kind of reading into that is why rural Jews, so anybody not in a walled city celebrates it on the 14th, but anybody in a developed city on the 15th. See, okay, now we're learning stuff. Let's keep going. All right, here's the summary of the story. It's all stuff we know. Haman was the royal vizier to the Persian king, and Mordecai, he's a Benjamite, he comes along and they defeat Haman. There's a day of deliverance, and according to the scroll of Esther, they should make them days of feasting and gladness and sending portions to one another and gifts to the poor. Ooh, gifts to the poor. Well, I didn't see that as part of the celebration there. Maybe that's from a later Jewish document. So what do we do? Bullet point number 1. Purim is celebrated among Jews by A, exchanging gifts of food and drink. All right. Donating, number 2, charity to the poor. Number 3, eating a celebratory meal, Seudat Purim. I'm sure I said that wrong. Thanks in advance for your grace with me on that. Point number 4, public recitation of the scroll of Esther. Okay, there we go. I remember that from when I was a kid, usually in synagogue. And then celebratory point number 5, reciting additions to the daily prayers and to the grace after meals, known as al-Hanisim. I don't know what those would be. Other customs may include wearing masks and costumes, public celebrations and parades, and eating... okay. It's hyphenated, the size of the webpage that I have here. So it looked like it was going to say hamsters, but it doesn't. It says Hamanteshen, translated as Haman's pockets. I want to know what that is. Okay, we're going to follow that. We're learning together, having fun. I'm pulling this up. What is this food that goes along with Purim? Oh, it looks pretty delicious. Hamantash. It's like a pastry. It's triangle shaped, like a perfect triangle shape. And it has an opening in sort of the triangle the corners are pinched together. And in the middle, it looks like there's some kind of fruit, it looks like a fig Newton in the shape of a triangle with an opening where you can see into the figs at the top, sometimes known as Haman's ears. Okay, well, that's fairly gross. Orejas de Haman, I know what that means. Thought to originate in Spain and Italy, that is made by frying twisted or rolled strips of dough. Okay, who knew? And so you eat the Haman's pockets or the Haman's ears. Men are encouraged to drink wine or any other alcoholic beverage. Okay. It looks like part of the fun is dressing up like Mordecai, or the young ladies dress up like Esther. And it looks like, I'm seeing this again, like part of the fun is booing vigorously whenever Haman is on screen during the reading or the presentation of the story. Okay, last thing, this looks pretty cool. There's a blessing before the reading of the book that you and I have been working on, and it goes like this. Blessed are you, my Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and has commanded us regarding the reading of the Megillah. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Blessed are you, my Lord our God, King of the universe, who has wrought miracles for our forefathers in those days at this season. Blessed are you, my Lord our God, King of the universe, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this season. And then there's another blessing that each member of the congregation who just heard the reading recites together. And this says, Blessed are you, my Lord our God, King of the universe, the God who takes up our grievance, judges our claim, avenges our wrong, who brings just retribution upon all enemies of our soul, and exacts vengeance for us from our foes. Blessed are you, my Lord, who exacts vengeance for his people Israel from all their foes, the God who brings salvation. So it has a little bit of that tone, almost of an imprecatory psalm, praying about God judging one's enemies. Fascinating. Wait, there's a little thing here. One more thing. There's like a little spinny thing. It kind of looks like a flag, but it's like a little like knocker noisemaker thing. This is what apparently you do with that. Okay, I heard like there was like booing and stuff that you were supposed to do when Haman comes up, but it looks like this noisemaker is supposed to drown it out. Let me read you this. When Haman's name is read out loud during the public chanting of the Megillah in the synagogue, which occurs 54 times, the congregation, 54 times his name comes up. The congregation engages in noise-making to blot out his name. The practice can be traced back to the 13th century in accordance with a passage in the Midrash where the verse, "Thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek," is explained to mean even from wood and stones. Oh, interesting. So that's a follow-through on that arc that you and I have talked about, from the Amalekites in the desert to Saul, who fought against Agag, and Agag, the king of the Amalekites, all the way forward to the resolution here with the defeat of Haman the Agagite, as recorded in the book of Esther. That is super, super interesting and very, very different from the holidays that I celebrate. Okay, awesome. Well, that was interesting. Now I know a little bit more about that. I learned that in real time. Forgive me if you got that version of my brain where I'm a little bit distracted as I'm reading things, but hopefully it was fun to unpack that as well. And if any of you have ever celebrated this holiday, I would be enthusiastic to hear from you about other things that you know, and maybe if there's super pertinent stuff that I just didn't catch on this first pass, we can talk about that in a future conversation. Cool. Well, I'm 0% Jewish, but I'm really invested in the story of Esther, and as a result, I'm really invested in the holiday that is born out of it, and I had fun learning about it. Okay, and that's good for today. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour Podcast. Let's do this again soon.